And the Hemingway story continues next Wednesday at 10. Next this evening, and slightly later than published because of our extended athletics coverage, a musical late shift, starting with A Rags to Riches Tale, the Benny Goodman story, followed by Deep Roots music, featuring Bob Marley, Marcia Griffiths and Dennis Brown.
We're dogs that have big appetites. It's hard to fill us, try as you might. We want proper food, not dry old lumps. What we want is bounce super chunks. Bounce super chunks are meaty through and through. They really fill us and they taste just right. They're guaranteed to satisfy the biggest appetites.
Nobody does it better. Makes me feel sad for the rain. Nobody does it half as good as you. 'Cause baby, you're the best. Nobody does.
Waiter. You wanted a bill?
Yes, please.
Of course.
And one last coffee, please.
Brook Bond Red Mountain is freeze-dried to taste fresh and richly roasted.
Lovely, thank you.
Red Mountain, it's like ground coffee taste without the grind.
Clifford is quite the bon vivant. Tonight...
Now on 4 and slightly later than published because of our extended athletics coverage earlier this evening, Vivian Goldman and Charlie Gillett invite you to join them on the late shift.
Hello and welcome to the Late Shift. I'm Charlie Gillett.
I'm Vivian Goldman. And tonight we have a rather elegant soiree. It's the Benny Goodman story, followed by Deep Roots Part 5, Money in My Pocket.
The Benny Goodman story is what they used to call a biopic.
Or a hagiography.
In this case, the biopic of a man who really was one of the major people in 20th century popular music. I'd compare him to Elvis Presley and the Beatles, in that in the 30s he brought the rhythms and a lot of the attack of black music to the attention of people who had never noticed it before, and in a way which enabled them to deal with real black musicians like Duke Ellington and Count Basie, so that he had a kind of spin-off benefit to it for all concerned. Interestingly, he used black musicians in his band, the first major band to do so, and the film takes it for granted. I'm quite surprised they don't kind of make a big issue of what a revolutionary thing that was to do and how many difficulties they would have encountered as a result of it. The story is surprisingly true to what we know of the actual Benny Goodman story, and particularly two guys had a big influence. The agent, Willard Alexander, who, as you'll see, sticks by Benny Goodman's plan to have this band playing not strict tempo music, but raucous dance music. And John Hammond, who supported many black musicians in whatever way he could. And when he saw that Benny Goodman was putting together this band and seeing what a determined, knowing him to be stubborn man this was going to work, he encouraged Benny Goodman to use as many black musicians as he could persuade him to take. And to Ben Goodman's credit, he took quite a few, including the arranger, Fletcher Henderson, who had had a band going for about 10 years before this. And for many people, Benny Goodman's success was kind of ironic, given why didn't it happen to Fletcher Henderson before, which is the same way many of us felt, say, watching Elvis Presley surface and wondering why didn't Wynonie Harris or Joe Turner get all the money. But in this case, at least Fletcher Henderson got a job, which was to write the arrangements for Benny Goodman's band. In those days, a big band normally just took what was called stock arrangements. A publisher just wrote out parts for all the different musicians in the band and supplied them. And it cost so much to have those done for yourself that very few band leaders ever paid that money, but Goodman did. And he had originally been supported by the publisher Irving Mills. And I don't know whether it was an unusual or a standard arrangement, but Mills paid for the recordings, provided they were of Irving Mills' songs that he had in his catalogue. So all the famous songs that we know of by Benny Goodman, or almost all of them, were published by Irving Mills. So, what do you find about the actual story itself?
Well, you know, it has definitely that sanitized quality to it. You know, it's real, what I generally think of as Sunday afternoon with a box of Kleenex.
Well, in this case, Wednesday night.
Yes, in this case, Wednesday night. But, you know, there are things that are, you know, that are true, as you were saying, like the fact that the father got killed in a taxi accident. What they don't say is that Benny Goodman had 11 brothers and sisters that he had to support, I suppose, because that's stretching the bounds of credulity. What do you think of the stereotyping of the Jewish mother?
I don't know, I thought she was better than the stereotype, personally, but that's maybe because I don't know too many Jewish mothers, but at least she had a lot more lines to say than the equivalent person did in last week's film, Cabin in the Sky.
Yeah, that's true, that's true. But you know, that word hagiography specifically means one of those sanitized biopics. It really refers to that kind of thing, and the most glaring thing with Benny Goodman is that he seems to be the most disliked band leader of all time. Apparently he used to call all his musicians boy, name regardless, possibly even the women singers. Nobody liked him for that. And after he came back from this tour of Russia with Zoot Sims, somebody said to Zoot Sims, "What was it like touring Russia with Benny Goodman?" Now, in these days of glasnost, you've got to put this joke in its historical context, right? But Zoot answered, "Touring anywhere with Benny Goodman is like touring Russia."
Speaking of Zoot Sims, there's an odd moment where Stan Getz suddenly steps up and takes a solo. Stan Getz was not playing with Benny Goodman back in 1935 and 36. He was far too young for that. But most of the other musicians that you see in the band really did play with him, including Gene Krupa on drums, Teddy Wilson, of course, Lionel Hampton on vibes, and Buck Clayton playing the trumpet. Which is interesting. They're playing themselves, but 20 years older than they were when all this happened. Still, when it did happen, it was exciting, and it goes like this. The Benny Goodman story.
We've done it! It's a low-fat spread, high in polyunsaturates, tastes great, and you can cook with it. Now, all we need is a good name for it.
Got it. The lower-fat, high in polyunsaturates, great-tasting spread.
But you can cook with it as well.
Yes, all right, so it's the lower-fat, high in polyunsaturates, great-tasting spread you can cook with.
It's a bit long, isn't it?
Not if you say it fast. The lower-fat, high in polyunsaturates, great-tasting spread you can cook with.
I don't know. I think we're thinking of something a little easier to remember, like Mello or something.
Mello? Mello? Who came up with that?
Well, the chairman, actually.
It'll fit nicely on the pack, won't it?
Kraft Mello. The one spread that does it all.
Do It All are doing £16 off the Rollinson Super Shed, £4 off 10 Sophia ceramic tiles, and £3 off selected Swish Nova curtain poles. And that's not all you get from Do It All.
Everywhere there's a helpful Do It All idea.
An ordinary conditioner used with your dandruff shampoo could rinse some of that dandruff protection down the drain. New Head & Shoulders conditioner gives your hair more dandruff protection, leaving it easy to comb, easy to manage. New Head & Shoulders conditioner works with your shampoo, not against it.
I bet he drinks Darling Black Label.
Nah, he doesn't wash his underpants.
Your best bet for a fuller flavour.
Clifford is quite the bon vivant. Tonight he's entertaining an old flame. Luckily, strong-tasting Listerine antiseptic mouthwash kills the germs that can cause bad breath. And, a recent report shows, Listerine can also kill germs that form plaque.
Oh, Clifford.
Listerine antiseptic mouthwash.
Hello.
strong enough to take your breath away.
Now there's a new power to protect. Harpic with dual action. Power to clean and kill germs even under the rim. Plus, there's a new long-lasting fragrance. Together, they make your loo a clean and pleasant place to be. New Harpic with dual action.